This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Yes, sir. So We All Be News. I have on Mr. Lee Miller.
Correct.
What's your position?
Yes. Yeah, it's L-E-E-M-I-L-L-A-R, and I'm the spokesman for the Sons of Confederate Veterans and for the Forrest family.
All right, excellent. So right now we're in what formerly used to be known as Forrest Park.
Still known as Forrest Park.
Still known as Forrest Park.
Yes.
The burial site of General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife.
Yes.
And right now we know there's a lot of controversy going on with the Confederate flag being lowered down in South Carolina, and now there's a national push to get rid of all Confederate relics or monuments and flags. I just want to get your point of view and statement on that.
Very unfortunate. It seems like there's an anti-Confederate hysteria going on, that there are some elements that want to just purge American history of anything Confederate, which is absolutely wrong. Should not try to erase American history, no matter what it is. We should learn from it and build on it. We should add more history, more sites, more historic markers, and so we can educate everybody about it. America has a great history. We don't need to be erasing it.
Well, it's like General Forrest in particular is a lightning rod for people. I know he's been dead since 1877. What do you think people got a problem with General Forrest being honored?
I think it's a lack of education why people don't like General Forrest. He did so many good things. He was such a brilliant military commander. After the war, he employed blacks to help rebuild Memphis in the Mid-South. But people don't hear that part. They just hear about some other things that are rumors and unproven. But they don't know how the good things that Forrest did.
Yeah, I want to ask you that too, because I heard that I think Forrest claimed that, even after the war, he was getting Africans from Africa to work here. Is that true?
What? Say that again?
He was getting Africans to work here. Like he was actually getting African
Americans.
No, the Africans from Africa.
No.
Like he was bringing them over here to work. Is that true? After the war?
After the war? No, certainly not.
Okay.
No. He did not. He employed free black Americans after the war to build the Memphis and Selma Railroad and the Memphis and Little Rock Railroad. He employed black Southerners as engineers, architects, construction engineers. He was putting black Americans to work when nobody else was.
But what is this thing about, was he the first Grand Wizard of KKK? Is that true?
No, that's not true at all. The Ku Klux existed for 2 years before General Forrest even knew about it. and so he was certainly not the first leader of the Ku Klux Klan. And in fact, in an 1871 United States congressional investigation, who was certainly no friend of the South, they came to the conclusion, their testimony and evidence and detective work and everything, and discovered that General Forrest was not the first leader of the Klan, nor was he even a member of the Klan. This was a congressional investigation that proved that Forrest was not even a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
So he was never a member, and he was never the Grand Wizard.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. If somebody says it, you just ask them to prove it.
What about the the Four Pillow Massacre? I know that's a sticking point for a lot of people. That was even his New York Times obituary.
Yeah. Some people say it was a massacre. A lot of people don't. The educated historians realized that it was not a massacre. It was just a Confederate victory. General William T. Sherman's military investigation concluded that Fort Pillow was not a massacre. They just lost. They were outnumbered 3-1. The black troops suffered a lot of casualties when the white defenders skedaddled out of there and left them holding the bag, as it were. So the black defenders did suffer a great amount of casualties, but it was just because they were outnumbered 3-1 and just surrounded. So it was not didn't have much of a chance to fight. Even though they put up a good fight, they were just overwhelmed and outnumbered.
I want to ask you this as well, because a lot of folks say that the Civil War, like I guess Confederate sympathizers or supporters of that point of view, the War of Northern Aggression, as they call it.
Yeah.
A lot of folks said it was not about slavery, but the Confederate flag in South Carolina was flown in response to integration issues back in the 60s. They flew it in the 60s. And also, I understand that people came, display swastikas and stuff in Germany, but they used the Confederate flag in its place to show support of the Nazism. So what you'll say to that?
No. The flag in South Carolina was put up in 1961. That was the centennial of the Civil War from 1861. It was put up to commemorate the Confederate soldiers from South Carolina. Okay. It had nothing to do with anything else. Mm-hmm. As far as people using the Confederate flag in Germany and other places, they use it as a flag of defiance against a tough central government. It had nothing to do with the swastika or anything like that. It was just the underdog standing up for something is why other people use the Confederate flag. But it was not about slavery. It was about states' rights, economics, politics, a lot of things in that particular history of the 1840s and 50s and 60s.
Okay. And also I want to ask you, like I always tell people, I think the Confederate flag is just as much a part of black history as it is American history. I want to get your point on that, your take on that.
Yes. Certainly the Confederate flag is as much a part of black history as it is white history or anybody else. About 60,000 black Southerners served in the Confederate Army. General Forrest had 65 black troopers in his regiment, one of his regiments, when he surrendered. 20% of his escort, which were his crack troops, his Green Berets, 20% of his escort were black troopers because he knew those men could fight, and he put them to work after the war. So you had many black Southerners, free blacks, fighting for the South. The South was invaded by the North, and this was their home, just like the white guys. So they were defending the South and doing an excellent job of it.
So they was not forced into service, right? They were willing to.
Right.
Okay.
There were three reasons why a black man would fight in the South. Mm-hmm. Now, some of them, the slaves, were offered their freedom in exchange to join the Confederate Army, and they did. But there were a lot of free blacks in the South, and they voluntarily joined because this was their home too. And then third group of free blacks joined the Confederate Army to prove that they could, to prove that they could fight just as good as the white man could. And they did. They fought just as well, as Forrest himself found out.
So was the Confederacy the first to use black soldiers before, or was it the Union?
Oh no, the Confederacy was the first army in the world to have integrated black soldiers. Now the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army had a couple of blacks fighting with that, but the Confederate Army was the first to integrate the Army on a large-scale basis.
All right, cool. So we had 5,000 with George Washington, but you actually had 60,000 integrated.
Yes,
so
Confederate Army and Navy.
So did you also have, like, I know my research, there was 3,700 black slave owners in the Confederacy. Right. So you had some of them involved as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Assuming there were about 3,700 black slave owners in the South, they contributed to the war effort as well. One of the largest slave owners in the area was a black man named George King from this area in Memphis, and he's helped contribute to the war effort for the Southern cause.
Okay, so you basically give us a history lesson. Now we got the internet, we can research and stuff like that.
That's right.
But I think you got more out of this than on the corporate media. I looked at Dylan the roof thing and him flying the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
Why do you think people got such a distrust of the Confederate flag or what you guys stand for? What's the issue?
It's a lot of misunderstanding with the Confederate flag. There have been some radical groups use the Confederate flag and they have no right to it. Confederate flag is a military flag, stands for the soldiers that fought for the Confederacy. These other radical groups that fly the Confederate flag, they also fly the Stars and Stripes and the Christian Cross, and they're not entitled to any of those three flags. But unfortunately, that's what makes the news. And people see the Confederate flag and it gives them a bad impression of it, when actually if they understand that it was the flag of the Confederate soldiers, that they would understand that the flag is not a bad flag. It's those radicals who are the bad people.
I also like to add this too. I think it's very important. Memphis is such a phenomenal place in terms of culture.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that Tennessee had the second most Civil War battles behind Virginia. I didn't have.
Yes.
Until I started studying Forrest. But right now we're just a couple of blocks away where they killed Dr. King, and also where they ran Ida B. Wells Barnett out of town for a newspaper
in 1887.
Right. So like you're looking at the fact, okay. So we're dealing with white supremacy, racism, and oppression, majority black town. And here we got on this busy street, one of the greatest, arguably one of the greatest generals of all time, but also one of the biggest white supremacists of all time. If you look at it from another person's point of view, being honored, on a yearly basis. So what can you do to alleviate some of the issues and pains of the black community over this honoring as a gentleman?
I think it takes education. People appreciate what Dr. King did. He wasn't perfect. They appreciate what Ida Wells did. She's not perfect. Forrest was not perfect. No one was perfect except perhaps Jesus. Jesus was. But so you've got to take into consideration all of their characteristics and the good that they did. Memphis has such a great history, music, Civil War, civil rights, but everybody's history should be appreciated, and we should learn from it and educate. Like General Forrest hired many black Southerners after the war. He became a civil rights leader. He was the first white person to speak to the Pole Bearers Association, the predecessor of the NAACP. A great honor because General Forrest was respected, widely respected by the black citizens of Memphis. And but people don't always see that part of the history, and that's what everyone needs, is a little bit more education on the history of Memphis and the citizens and the heroes of Memphis.
So like moving his body and his remains of his wife is out of question, right?
Certainly.
But is it protected by state law or has not? It hasn't been passed. It has.
Yeah, state law has been passed. Yeah, and it's protected by state law.
Okay.
Right now. So now, without going through, there's a lot of obstacles. Somebody would want to move a statue, and particularly moving graves.
Right, it's a grave. Right.
Yes.
So what do you like to say, what do you think would be a happy compromise between everybody or the citizens of Memphis who pay taxes on this property? What would be the happy compromise in your opinion, from your point of view?
A happy compromise would probably be putting up more historical markers so people could become educated about Memphis history, not only in Forest Park, but all around the city, to black and white leaders, Native Americans, Chinese, everybody who has played a part in Memphis history. We need more education, more historical markers, just more things to enhance our history, not to erase it.
Mr. Miller, thank you so much for taking your time and keep on producing and pushing.
All right, thank you.
You got a card on you by any chance?
Yeah, I sure do.
Email. Thank you for that. I know you